What up, what up, what up? What's good, people? What is up? What is They went from the fourth level of hell and sent us down to the seventh level of hell. Why? Because then you got Kwanzaa pulling out her titties. The whore pulled out her titties. And these whore bags over here started feeling and fondling on her tits. My
I don't have it to do with you. Girl, you can go over there, rant and rave. Girl, you can shake all your rainbow bright hair all you want, dear one. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this with you, dear one. I'm not doing this with you, dear one. I don't have nothing to do with you, and I'm done. Baby, you can scream my name from the rooftops from now till Jesus come back. I'm done after this.
Introduced to Tick's meat. Do you see what I see? Did y'all really hello, casting wardrobe? Y'all let him roll up out of wardrobe with these fans on, giving us all of this, thinking we were not going to see it? We have been waiting with bated breath and anticipating all season long for the slightest glimpse. And y'all just put it out there this episode in all of its magnificent glory.
Listen, that young man said, baby, you ate on this first date, you giving up the cooch on the first date, okay? Or you gonna run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. That's our new theme song. That is the new song. Listen, somebody need to put a beat to that. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. This what y'all got going on.
Called out Sandcastle. Sand, bitch. Ow. Oh my God, it was so funny, girl. Ooh, baby, listen, let me tell you something. This shit started to turn into the precursor for some gay porn. That's what I thought it was. Because Big T is getting all, the voice starting to go deeper and get a little more wet and moist and sentimental and all this shit. And it was real gay at this point. Like, I thought the bitches was gonna, I thought Lil Murder was gonna turn Big T around and do him like he did Uncle Cliff and do the grease it up with City Lube and ran right in there. It's not a coincidence that Big T started off the conversation by trying to find out if Lil Murder was fucking Mercedes, which he found out he's not. It's also not a coincidence that he would start talking about prison. Why? Because the bitches was probably fucking in prison. Girl. Uncle Clifford, you better go get your man. Big T got plans for that. Well, he had on look like something Big Bird vomited up or something like that. Like, I did not like it. That Big Bird couture he was going for, it did not work. Like the pastor of a gay mega church on Easter Sunday. Okay, it was way too much sequins. He had way too much makeup. Baby, his face looked like Iyanla Vanzant's neckline. Okay, just way too much makeup clumped in everywhere on his face. Get it together, sweetheart. Like, you're a big girl, so that gives you a whole lot of canvas. So that was a whole lot of makeup, honey. And Rico looked like he was auditioning to be one of the Three Kings, or he was auditioning to be the main character on Jesus Christ Superstar. Girl, Wayne, did you have on a blue thong or a blue G-string or something? If you did, I want to see it. Get me up in my DMs. I do want to see if you have a blue thong or a blue, jock strap, something like that. I'd love to see it. Anyway, but I liked it with the turtleneck. Now, Troy.
Girl.
Hey, everybody in the chat already. Hey, Tracy C. Nessa. What's going on, Nessa? Love you, boo. Hey,
Ooh,
friend Jay.
Tracy.
Hey, Volvo. Hey, Cookie. Hey, Cassandra.
Volvo.
What's up, y'all? What is up? What is up? We are here. Listen. Where's my notes? Let me not do that too hard because that may be seen as salacious and sexual.
Oh, we not gonna start off. We can. Teddy.
What? I'm just saying.
Cause look,
I'm just saying.
Girl.
Child, I have dropped the link in the members only chat. I got Harold is already ready. Look at Harold. Harold, I know you ready.
Hey, how
I know
you?
you ready. How you doing, Harold?
All right, how you doing? Hey, Mr. Darren, how are you?
Hey, yeah, I'm good.
Is this gonna be us three?
It's a lot.
We'll see. We'll see. Xavier's supposed to be here. Tracy C supposed to be here. Child. Let me drop the actually let me drop the link in the chat. Somebody
I need Xavier. Where Xavier at? Come on out. Come out the bushes.
Mm-hmm. He might be at work or babysit. We'll see. Because I ain't see but he was in really be chat, so let me call him out. I saw Xavier. Right. Hey Nate, what's good, Nisi? Child. So if we're gonna have a whole meltdown on these parents. Now, as much as we gonna go in on some of these people. The parents are the worst of them all.
I gotta go in on certain parents though. Like definitely when we got to
Hey, Drinks with D.
To Drake's, but we'll get there when we get there.
Hello?
Hey, Drinks with D.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm here. All right.
So we are here today to discuss and talk about the documentary Quiet on Set. Child, let me get this title right. Quiet on Set.
The Dark Side of Kids TV or something like that.
Yes. Quiet on Set. Something on the real story behind Kids TV, something like that. Y'all know what it is. It's in the title. Oh, the Dark Side of Kids TV is right up there above me. Oh, wow. Way to go, El Teddy. So listen, let me say this. What I will say that the producers did, there go Xavier.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy, trouble. Is this you, Xavier? I probably should
It's me.
Overlay.
It's me.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Xavier.
But you know, I was looking for you. Anyway, I love you, Xavier. I love you, Harold. Love you, Drinks with D. I love you, Darren. Even though people say I'm mean.
Well,
mean.
I don't say you're mean. I just say you're a size queen, but that's just my personal opinion.
I can't help the gifts that God gave me to accommodate men of a certain size.
Is it a gift or is it like some sort of, dismemberment? I don't understand. What are you doing, El Teddy?
I mean, we're not displacing internal organs or anything. You know what I'm saying?
All right, that's not what we're here to discuss. That's not what we're here to discuss.
Let's focus.
Let's get on topic.
Wait. I just want to tell everybody, excuse y'all. I've been drinking since about 5, so it's already.
Who?
But
you is Xavier?
No, that's Drinks with D. He's been drinking since 5, so he's ready to go in. Okay,
I'm ready to go because I got a lot to say about this documentary. So.
Listen, I'm glad. Listen, let me go ahead and pour some gin in this good lemonade I got from Chick-fil-A. I got the Chick-fil-A lemonade.
I add the liquor to the. See, I should have kept.
I don't even have anything to drink.
That's what I'm saying. I should have went to.
You said you was gonna get some wine, Harold.
I know, but it's not the weekend yet. I usually go to the liquor store on Friday.
All right. Hey, Lady Bell. All right, y'all. Let's talk. So we had this documentary. The one thing that I will say, they kept it clean. And when I say by keeping it clean, they didn't go as down in the basement and as salacious as they probably could have. Hey, Montrez.
They probably could have been sued otherwise.
Well, there
was a lot of legal notes from Nickelodeon.
Right, but there are actual court cases where they could have pulled language from those court cases and said this is what the complaint said, this is what the legal file said, and kept it at that. Hey, Sharice. So I'll say like this, and we're not going to chronicle and go through time, moment by moment of every episode. We're gonna be all over the place. I'm just letting you know. If you're looking for a recap, then this ain't gonna be a recap. This is a review where we're just gonna review what we saw and talk about the things. So there seem to be 3 major points of emphasis for me. There was the sexism, there was racism, and then there was the child abuse. Those are the 3 main.
And don't forget the foots.
Well, misogyny too.
Misogyny. I feel like we could put the misogyny with the sexism.
Oh, okay.
Don't forget the feet. The feet are the corner point of this now.
They are not. How?
Because that's what they were focusing.
The logo,
not Drake Mama ain't shit. Yeah, heavy on that.
The feet. That's what he's obsessed with.
We're gonna have a whole meltdown on Drake Mama. Now Drake Mama.
I don't want to melt down. I want to ass whooping. Somebody need to talk to her. Really,
that dad need to get beat the hell up too, because you know what? We'll get there.
What daddy?
The daddy ain't even did. We'll get there.
No,
so
he didn't do nothing.
Huh?
The daddy ain't do nothing.
I think the dad, he might feel some type of guilt because he didn't, put his foot down as far as him, like his discernment was telling him that something was wrong, and he didn't really go all the way in.
Drake
but I don't fault him for that though.
But let me say this. And let's just dive right into that.
Okay,
Since we're gonna break it down into 3 topics, let's start with the child abuse, the allegations of sexual harassment, sexual abuse, child molestation, and child abuse. There were a couple things that I wrote down. There were 3 individuals who they pinpointed. There was 4 if we include Dan Schneider. Dan Schneider, his whole thing was they said that he put teenage girls and other members of the cast in sexual in things that would allude to sex.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to talk about that part first, because that's the part that people may not agree with me on, and I'm okay with that. So they talked about there was some scenes where I was like, yeah, that is gratuitous. But for me, some of the stuff, even when I go back and think about when I watched, it was very benign. And
me too.
And I think I'm gonna say that what happened is you look back at it as an adult when you have all of the information that you have, and you have sexual experiences and things like that, and you go, ooh. But as a child watching it, and even a lot of the people that were involved said, I didn't see it that way. It wasn't that way. And I think sometimes adults will sexualize things where kids just don't have that experience. So it's not a sexual thing for them. For them, it's just literally what it looks like, in its most basic form. I'm not saying that he may not have gotten his rocks off or whatever, but like somebody said on the panel, on the show, on the documentary, there was nothing illegal about it. There was nothing where somebody could have been, taken a court or anything. And so I couldn't shake the feeling that adult minds were putting adult connotations on things that kids just did not put on it or didn't.
I agree.
But when you hear these people speak out, when they, like the characters that actually were on the show, talk about how they were uncomfortable, the one boy that they always had him wearing spandex and stuff like that, like they did feel uncomfortable doing these.
But that was one person, and then and I don't like the fact that the documentary did this. They used clips that might be seen a certain way from an adult point of view, but when you look at that in context of the show, it's not that it doesn't give that at all. Like the one clip I remember that really stuck out to me was the one where you see Freddie from iCarly trying to pull Carly on top of the table.
Mm-hmm.
And they were trying to make it seem like the joke is that he's behind her and they're grunting.
Right.
But if you know the show, the whole thing is that Freddie's a weakling and he's a punk. So of course he can't carry this little girl. So that was the joke. I don't think the joke was
some of the ones. Another thing with that is, like, a lot of us are older and we didn't see iCarly, so of course we're only seeing it as adults.
I watched iCarly as a child, but
me too.
I was grown when iCarly. I was teaching when iCarly was on.
Victorious, Zoe 101. This is my era of television.
For me, sorry.
Go ahead, Drinks.
I was just gonna say, like, for me, it left a lot of it for interpretation, like at the very beginning, because for me, I thought Dan Schneider was this person who was molesting kids and was being this whole asshole to everybody on set. But then when you look at the whole thing, it was like they really just said, "Oh, he was just being harassing the writers and and some of the people on set," and they alluded to what he did to some of the kids. Alluded. They never really said he did such and such.
I think Dan Schneider's biggest part was the sexism and the misogyny part
and
with
the racism.
The adult writers.
I know they did allude to some things with the kids, because And I didn't know about these stuff, but
they did.
the videos online on the slap.
But see, because my thing is like if you don't have Amanda Bynes and Ariana Grande and Keenan and Kel, all them big people talking about this, then it's really like some holes that are left in his story.
They are the puppets. They are being. I mean, they got strings. Like, let's be very clear. They're not going to speak out. Okay.
I don't think there's anything to speak out on though.
Well, let me just say this. Let's be very clear. Like, they did say in the documentary that hours upon time that him and Amanda Bynes would be working on content or whatever the case is, him and Dan Schneider. There's definitely some room to
interpret. There's room for interpret things.
But it was
That's
never
what I got.
He kept his shit clean. But let's be clear, he had a toxic work environment. He split the salary of 2 different women because of sexism. Like, he had a toxic, it was a nightmare on the writer's room and behind the scenes of his production. So I'm sorry, he ain't shit.
Oh, no, he ain't shit.
Like, let's be very clear.
He didn't let any of the men split salaries.
And he fostered the environment,
now, let's be clear,
which had kids getting touched by these grown people, because he hired the 3 people that did those things to those children.
Well, here's the thing. Dan Schneider, notwithstanding, ain't shit. Let's just be clear. And just to keep it within the context of the first part that we're talking about, which is the child abuse, the allegations of child abuse. To me, they alluded to, there were too many just allusions to Dan Schneider, may or may not have been, but there's nothing concrete. Nobody has ever alleged or said anything. Not any other people that was on the documentary, not any other people off the documentary. There's been not a single person. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but as of yet, nobody has alleged that Dan Schneider sexually abused or was sexually inappropriate with. The most we heard was massages, which was on set in front of everybody, and maybe some sketches and some sketches that looked inappropriate.
And let me just say this: the people that were speaking minus Drake, they weren't main characters. So it's like
that part.
What are you talking about?
They weren't the ones that got touched. It's going to take one.
Jamie didn't
I was just about to say the ones.
That's why I feel like if you get the bigger people to talk, then you're gonna have more of the story.
If you notice,
that's how I feel.
Hey Ryan, hey V Carter, hey D Johnson, hey Spicy Original, hey Bap, hey Renee Kennard, hey everybody coming in. Hey everybody.
If you notice, the only people from the original cast of all that who said anything were Katrina Johnson and Leon Frierson. No one else.
And I'm sorry.
And Leon Frierson is an original cast. Leon Frierson was.
He came in like later on, but he came before
Frierson came when they were in the original first couple seasons, but he wasn't in the original class in season 1 and 2. I think he came like season 4 or something like that. But he wasn't because remember, Nick Cannon wasn't even in the first couple seasons. Nick Cannon, I think, came season 3 or something like that. I remember the only black people on the show was Keenan and Kel in the first
and
season.
That girl, that the dark skinned girl,
Raquel.
I forgot her name.
The dark skinned girl, I can't think of her name.
I forgot her name, but I remember.
I forgot her name, but they were the only 2 black boys, and then you had the black girl. I can't think of that black girl name.
Isn't it Raquel, or was that a different one?
I can see her face just as good, but I can't think of what her name.
It ain't Samuel, this girl right here.
That's not her.
She was on the reboot. She was
but she's
not the original. All that, I think that was like 95 or something like that.
1994.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Nick Cannon didn't come to like 97 or something like that.
Yeah.
How long did it go for?
The first iteration went to like the early 2000s, so I don't think
from 1994 to 2002. I think that's when.
Somewhere around there. So Frierson didn't come along until like the late 90s. I know.
Well, I should have said he was a part of that first group, not the first.
Yeah, not the reboot. He wasn't a part of the reboot. But so let's get to these other. Let's knock all of this other sexual abuse down. We'll save Brian Peck for last. The one we heard the least about was the black man. He looked black to me, at least. Named Ezell Channel.
Yeah,
and He was the one who was already a sex offender when they hired him.
He kidnapped someone, didn't he?
I thought that was a white man. He looked white.
That was
He's
black.
black.
Man.
He's
no,
black.
that was a black man. I thought.
That's
he
black man.
definitely POC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said he was already a sex offender when he
I
was.
think he kidnapped that boy.
When he came, they said he had committed lewd acts on a 14-year-old boy and showed him pornography. Now listen, who's down there to, we don't call it HR anymore, I guess we call it people operations, but then it was HR. Who's down there? Because anything involving children, you're supposed to have screenings for sex offenders, any type
they didn't do that back then.
Yes,
Yeah.
they
That's
did.
what I said too.
Yeah,
I
but
said that too. Like, what was the background check?
It wasn't as big back then. Like, I mean, people was doing it, but they weren't like really like going deep and in, looking at your credit and shit, looking at what you know and all that.
From what I understand, he was just a he was a cartoonist, I believe. He did cartooning.
Okay.
Wait, who are we talking about? No, because I mean, there was a cartoonist and there was the one who led the children on set. Now, who we talking about?
That we ain't got to them yet. We ain't got to them yet. We on
okay.
cartoonist.
Okay, my bad.
What you said, Tracy?
Background checks started in 1996. They became more popular in 1998. So where are we getting that they didn't do background checks? Like
that's what I'm saying. They had to.
Nobody's saying that they didn't do background checks, but they weren't as hold on. It wasn't as extensive as it is now. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're saying that it started back then, it was not as good as it is now. Okay.
I wonder, because I wonder, and I would have to ask legal experts what the sex offender lists were like in the 90s, because if you remember, and this didn't happen, that guy came in the 2000s. He didn't come in the 90s. That guy came in the 2000s. But my thing is, there was a law. We just talked about it on my channel. Remember, there was a law, Megan's law where they had to put the list out. This was in the 2000s. This wasn't. No, I'm sorry. This was late 90s.
Okay.
Megan's law went into effect. But my thing about it is, from state to state, when they do background checks, did they do a background check just for that state, or did they do a national background check where you would have to check nationally? That's my only question, because if they just check state to state and his background, I mean, he was on the sex offender list in, let's say, Florida, and they're over here in California, you know, and they didn't check a nationwide background check, then maybe he slipped through the cracks. I don't know, but I bet you they're doing them now. At least
maybe they just didn't care. Have we considered that? They just probably didn't care. Is that possible? They just didn't care.
Yeah, that could be.
I wouldn't go that far and say.
Remember that, like I said in the beginning, Dan Schneider did appoint these people. Like, he did hire these people.
But
he wasn't the only person involved with hiring, though. Let's just be clear.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put that all on Dan Schneider.
But you also have to think, like, back then, the sex offenders registry had just like became a thing where they had to make it more national. So then you had to take the information from the local places and put it in. So we only know how long it took to actually get the information to actually show up. So like Altedi said, depending on where you did it, it could have possibly not shown up on your background check because, you know, it wasn't 4 or 5 years later of them getting, you know, let's say the registry from Florida and actually putting it in. So, you know, the actual information wasn't there, because it looks like, like 94 they did this, 96 it became a thing. And it looks like it took them like 8 years to get all the states on board to like actually start uploading their information. So it could have been one of those things. It was kind of in that time of, it started, it was a thing, but sometimes it doesn't actually go into play, or there isn't all of the pieces set up as soon as we would like them to be. So
I don't know, Sharice, and y'all help me out. Sharice says, is this the one that brought the child to the workplace? I don't remember.
I think
so.
Jay,
I think it was the cartoonist.
Yeah, he kidnapped him, I believe.
I think it was this. I think this is the guy that brought the child to the workplace.
Yeah,
I think it was.
But I have a question about that. I have a question
he
about that. If you kidnap somebody, why would the first place you take them would be to work? Don't that not make sense?
Some of these people are very brazen.
It was a lot of kids in that studio,
and he could hide amongst the crowd. He could hide amongst the crowd.
Kids talk. But my concern would be the kid would talk though, because he would say, "Yeah, I'm not with this dude. He's not my parent." That's what I would say. I don't know this man. He brought me here.
I don't know.
Scary. That's some scary ass shit.
But here's my question. I just need to understand the time and place that I could go to work and just randomly bring a child with me, and nobody
Unless
in my
it's take your
job
child to
pays
work
me.
day.
You know what I mean? So regardless of, it
Hold on, I
could have
think I
been
got
his
somebody
actual
backstage.
child. It could have been his
Oh, I
actual
see you,
child.
Gabby. I see you.
What job do you go to that just randomly lets you bring, like, unless there was some, like, that just seems odd to me that you felt comfortable enough to walk that
bring
kid
that
past
child.
security, because there's
Me
security at
too.
these places. It's not like it was
It
just
is.
some, random hole in the wall. You felt comfortable taking this kid past security to go
How you
to
gave
D.
him a
Johnson
pass?
says it's
job?
very normal in the industry. Well, that may speak to more
Yeah.
problems we got in the industry
Holly
there.
weird. Holly
how-
weird.
But don't you need a pass? You're supposed to have a pass, a guest pass or something.
I mean,
It
if
should
you
be
come in
record.
with the person, you could probably get a buddy pass, guest pass, or whatever you want to call it.
But then they should be
I'll s-
fill out forms. I don't know. This just all seems
First
very
of all, I don't even like
suspicious.
take your child to work days that they have when you got these random. I just be like, oh, just take your child home, please, body here. All right. I've never
Do we
liked
know the
taking
age
child
of
to
that
work.
little boy?
Mm-mm.
No,
They didn't say.
they never disclosed it. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think this guy did anything to anybody on set that they told us. I
They
don't
did not.
remember them saying. He just was a sex offender that they hired, and then when they caught up to
and
him,
was just roaming around the place.
Well,
right,
if
they
you,
fired
if
him.
you a sex
The,
offender,
the
bring it.
animator guy was the one who did do stuff to the little boy. The
But the
animator
little
guy
boy
did do
wasn't.
stuff.
He wasn't on one of the shows
Any
or
of the
anything.
shows?
He brought
Correct.
the
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he brought
But he did do things to him.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, we know.
Yeah, he
They said
kidnapped him for one. He kidnapped him
lewd
for
and
one.
lascivious behavior acts with him,
Right.
and showing him pornography and all kinds of other
But
stuff.
can we
Let's
talk
get to
about
this.
how? Can we just talk
Mhm.
about how comfortable these parents was just letting random strangers take their kids to the lots?
Hello.
We
Let's
we
talk
gonna
about
get to
that.
that when we get to Brian Peck. We almost there. We almost
Okay,
I'm gonna drag his ass.
I
I'm
got
gonna
some
drag
stuff
his
because
ass.
my kids are around. Well, they're 10 and 11, and I had a problem with everything, especially the
we
Brian
go
Peck guy.
we gonna get to Brian Peck. We ain't got the Brian
El
Peck yet,
Teddy.
or Drake's mom. We ain't got that yet.
El Teddy,
Okay.
please let me drag Drake's mom and that peck ass
I
motherfucker.
think we're gonna have
I'm
to
gonna
give
drag
everybody
him
30.
in.
I think I'm gonna
Oh,
just give
it's
everybody
gonna
30
turn.
seconds to a minute to drag this woman. We'll go around the room. We'll do a round robin
Please,
on
please.
that
I've
mother.
been waiting to
All right.
drag that.
So let's get to the second person. That was the guy named Jack Handy, who was he was the one who I think was taking the kids to the different sets. He was on set. He was like a stagehand almost, I guess you would call it.
Mhm.
And that's the one we never saw the girl who he sent the nudes to, but that was the one who the girl got the nudes in. He emailed her a picture of him naked masturbating, and she
Yeah.
showed it to her mom, and the mom went and called the authorities. Now,
No, she didn't.
She did not.
She didn't call the police.
And
no, the mom.
also,
I thought the
and
mom called.
and also, it was the fact that something else outside of the letters from the detectives about that girl. It was something between that relationship where the math ain't mathing.
You
No,
talk
no, no,
about
no.
with the Jack Handy guy?
Yeah, no. So
Yes.
the mama did not. The mama did not
She
call
didn't
the
call the
police.
police because
She
she
didn't
said
call
she
the
didn't
police.
want.
she said she didn't want her daughter to have to go through that or whatever. What
Right.
happened was
Oh yeah.
he got caught with all the other people's pictures and all the little
They
packages of
found
hair and all that stuff, and that's how they found the girl.
They
And was
found
like,
her
hey,
panties.
a little
they found some
7-year-old
stuff
girl's
and was like,
panties in a
hey.
Ziploc bag.
Oh.
So she was in a Ziploc bag. So yeah, the no good mama who didn't call the police when
But
she got
No,
emailed.
but the girl never came on though.
No,
She never
girl
came
never
on.
came on.
I have a
No.
theory about that
Question.
though.
I
I have
have
a
a
theory about
question.
that though. I
I have a
think
quick.
the mama was screwing the Jack. I think the mama was doing something with Jack.
What?
Right, because the math on that Brianna girl, it's not mathing for me. Outside
Something
of her
had to been
catching,
happening.
yeah, something was happening that the mama didn't want to say because then it would have made her look guilty.
Hold on 1
believe.
second,
I
Gabby.
believe it.
Drinks
The
with D. Drinks with D. I got you on 2 different. I got you twice up here. I got you 1 backstage and 1 on screen. So I don't know if you went on multiple devices. No, I'm saying I don't know which one to take down. I see you. Okay. All right, I got you. You can go back off. I got you now. All right. Go ahead, Gabby. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying how the math wasn't mathing. Like something had to been going on
She left out
outside of
something.
him, outside of the mom finding, the man pleasuring himself.
I
And
believe she left out something.
yeah, she did leave
Yeah,
out something
it's some
because it
parts of
had
that
me.
story we don't know.
Yeah, it had my wheels turning.
And why didn't she ever refer to her daughter in like present tense? She spoke about her in like past tense,
I
as
thought
if
the daughter was dead too. I thought maybe the daughter had passed on to the great beyond or
because
something.
they never talked about her as an adult, or they never showed any pictures of her as an
And
adult.
she
It was
always talk,
always
or was she? Do they have a strained relationship now because she knew the
her
mama
dad.
wasn't shit and the mama
I'm
allowed?
assuming that's where
Could be
my
that
brain
too.
was going.
Could
That
be.
they got a strained relationship.
Because else, why
My
would the daughter
thought.
have his number?
Because the
Now here's
moment
the
she
deal.
saw that on that computer, she should have printed that out and been on 2 wheels up to the precinct. You hear me?
But then
Now I'm old school now.
my problem with the mom was, okay, I get that your daughter is now running into fame. I get that. But if a grown man ever hands my 10-year-old his phone number, that's a red flag for me.
Yeah, that was weird too.
That
Like,
is a red flag.
why are you letting this grown man
But
email your daughter back and forth?
I got a couple things to say about this. One, in a lot of parent-child relationships where the child is the primary breadwinner, you see this all the time with child actors. Where the child is the primary breadwinner, everything that they have is dependent on that child. There does become a time where the relationship gets flipped, where the child sometimes is calling all of the shots and saying, no, I'm gonna do this. I don't care. You need me, because the child at a certain point realizes that the parent needs them as opposed, and it's not the other way around. And so what will happen is you see this all of the time where the dynamic shifts and the child is calling the shot, and where as a parent would normally say, no, you can't do that. I'm not gonna let you do that. The child would be like, yep, I'm gonna do this, and I don't care how you feel about it. Because I think some of that played into the situation with Drake. I think
Hello,
part of that
Amanda
played into
Bynes.
the
How are
situation
you?
with Drake. Hey,
I
everybody
don't
coming
think
in. I
it.
want to say hey to everybody
I think it
coming
also
in.
played into they're not a part of this, but I think it also played into Chris Brown.
I could see that.
It also played in Amanda Bynes and Jeanette McCurdy had a similar story.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah,
Chris Brown has clear issues with women and very violent behavior, and he does a lot of messed up things, and he's been around a lot. I don't think.
But he watched his mom get abused, so that's different. Like how do we go from child start to Chris? How do we make this jump?
I'm just saying that I think to Eltay's point that some child stars get the power to their head and think they're gonna talk crazy to their parents and think that they can talk crazy to everybody else, and they want to do whatever they want to do. And I think that's what Chris Brown's problem is too.
He was a child star.
Hello, Bow Wow. How are you doing too?
I disagree with that because it's like with these people, they got the adults in their ear talking about, oh, your parents is not doing the right thing. Your people on the set don't like your mom or dad, or your mom or dad is stealing your money. You know, that's totally different from the Chris Brown thing. So that's how we can disassociate all the things.
But
because that's how they got molested.
I think that ties into it. I think that ties into it because they don't just come up with this on their own. There is usually some adult with nefarious, intentions that will say to that child, you making all of the money. You the only reason your mama got what she got. You can pretty much tell your mama and your daddy whatever you want to do, and they got to do it because they don't want not to have that money no more. So I think that all ties into it. Hey, Really B.
Hey, what up, y'all?
Oh,
hey,
Really B.
Hey, Really.
Hey, Jan. Hey, Boo. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
So I'm glad y'all clarified that part with the Jack Handy. The only thing that Really B, you may remember this, or anybody that can remember early Saturday Night Live. When I heard the name, I couldn't do nothing but think about that SNL sketch, Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. Remember they used to do that in the early 90s? There was an SNL sketch and the guy's name was Jack Handy. And he would say all of these random off the wall things that sounded good, but was really like just stupid. And his name was Jack Handy. I immediately thought about that SNL sketch when they said the man's name was Jack Handy. I don't know why, because I'm old. Okay.
Yeah, I was a baby in the early
90s. I don't remember none of that.
So I'm the only one who remembers Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. Look it up. It's a whole thing on SNL.
SNL isn't even funny, so I'm not going to do that. But thank you.
It used to be. No, this is in the funny days of SNL.
No, it used to be funny. No, Saturday Night Live used to be
SNL funny days.
I'm sorry, I didn't watch SNL. I watched Mad TV.
I didn't like Mad TV.
I didn't really get into Mad TV like that. It didn't really.
I loved In Living Color.
In Living Color, exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
Now I loved In Living Color. Now that was my shit.
Yes.
Right. So you didn't see Deborah's Whitney impression?
I seen her do it a couple times, but she was.
I seen clips and stuff, but
the only good one to me on there. I didn't like Aries Spears.
Deborah Wilson carried Mad TV on her back.
She did. Yeah. Now that I agree with.
She was the only good one. See, I'm not the only one who remembers Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. V. Carter and Miss Baythang remember it. Don't try to make it.
We can't have when we were born.
Well, nobody said you would. Nobody said you made it up. We just said we didn't remember.
Right.
And you're the one that said you was old.
Oh.
We agree though.
Really? That's what we're doing, Xavier? Is that what we're doing, Xavier?
I just agreed with the statement.
This is why the new kids in class can't sit.
All right,
let's
get back on topic.
Right. We gotta get to the
anyway. So let's get to the third child abuser and the biggest one.
Yes,
that was the Brian Peck guy,
the serial pervert.
Who I can't wait to drag.
Here's my question, and I'm gonna say this, and then we can start from there. The reddest of flags is the man has letters from John Wayne Gacy. I don't know what else.
That's not him. That's not him.
No, that wasn't.
No, that's
that was him. He had a painting with, and he was. That was Peck.
Oh, and that should have been the red motherfucking flag right there.
My thing is
that should have been the
biggest one. Like, who?
Like, you got letters from John Wayne Gacy, sir,
and none of the adults batting an eye. That was crazy to me.
We finna go home.
None of the adults batting an eye.
So here's what I'm gonna do. Hold on, y'all. Here's what I'm gonna do, because I know we're gonna break down what happened afterwards, but I'm gonna give everybody their 1 minute with Drake Bell's mama. I'm gonna go around. I'm gonna call your name. I'm gonna give you 1 sweet minute to drag this woman for everything she's worth. Because I know we all got smoke for Drake Bell mama, who just really ain't shit. Okay, let's just be clear. The bitch ain't shit. So I'm gonna start with Darren. Go ahead. You wait, hold on. Let me make y'all big. Let me make the people big. Okay. So we're gonna have Darren. There you go, Darren. There you go.
Well, here's my thing though. I mean, she wasn't there at the documentary for me to really drag her. I mean, she definitely deserves dragging, and I definitely implore y'all to drag this lady as y'all get to y'all spots. But my thing is this: I'm dragging the dad too, because at the end of the day, you sat there and said before he signed away your son to the mom, you said, "Oh well, I noticed that he was touching on, or not touching on him, but like touching his shoulder or getting too close and touching his waist and stuff like that."
But he said he stopped him.
He stopped him, but my thing is this: you should have definitely been like, you know what? He need not be around my child at all. There was some things that he could have done, and even he admitted it. Let's be very clear.
He didn't have the proof at the time.
He didn't have the proof, but he saw what happened when he did the same thing when he was with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Y'all don't let Darren drag the man.
I'm dragging the dad.
Wait, why? Yeah, how do we get back on the daddy? I don't understand.
Daddy.
Look, there was.
You have a minute to drag the mama. Follow directions.
Oh my goodness. Oh yes, the mother. But my thing is this: is nothing much to say about the mom because we didn't see her. We don't. I mean, like.
Because she ain't shit.
That no good crack horse. She shouldn't be there.
All right, we moving on. Harold, it's your time. Harold, go.
Okay, my like I said, I ain't gonna spend too much time on her because she's not worth it. But my question to her is, lady, you believed a complete stranger over your ex-husband and put your child in harm's way. So, like I said, to me, she ought to feel like a complete bag of shit. And like, if I were her after seeing this documentary, I really wouldn't come out of my house. Like, there's really no reason for her to wake up in the morning.
Somebody go put her out on social media. I'm surprised she ain't out on social media now. Somebody go find her.
And yeah, like I said, she should. The fact that she knows that she's responsible for her son being literally sexually abused and given to a serial predator, she should feel like complete shit. And she's gonna have to live with that for the rest of her life. And that's all I got.
Well, thank you, Harold. Xavier.
The mom is a trifling old bag of crackhead bones. I don't respect her. I feel like, Drake, you need to. This is the one time where kids need to stop beating their parents. I done told y'all that. Kids need to stop beating their parents.
Beating their parents?
Yes. Because let me tell you, you hate that man so much. You was willing to let somebody touch on your child? Because you didn't want to be inconvenienced. I don't drive, so I just let somebody else drive him. I ain't never heard no ghetto shit like that in my life. I don't just drive.
Why are we nice to Xavier? You done, Xavier?
You don't drive? No, I'm not done. Why don't you drive? Where is your license?
Well, I mean, Xavier, there are people that don't drive now.
I don't drive.
But you have a child that whose job it is that puts food on your table to go around and get jobs driving about. So you need to learn how to drive. That's the one thing you have to do, laying up.
Or at least call a family
member. She should
member.
have sent him off with a more responsible adult, someone she actually knew.
She should learn to drive. Oh my God. It's not, it is hard, but learn to drive. That's the one thing you do. We didn't hear about you. We didn't hear nothing about the mom working. We never heard nothing about the mom working. So
that's what we mad because she don't drive.
Really, Pete? I know you gonna let these people get it off their chest.
I'm sorry. Shut up. Shut up.
Xavier, are you done, sir?
I'm done. Get a license, bitch.
Get a license, bitch. Tracy.
Listen, it's rare and few and far between that I agree with Xavier, but I just need to understand. Your ex-husband told you, hey, there's something wrong with this man. Do not let him around our child. And the very first day you was like, oh, just go ahead and take him? Really? Have you lost your rabbit mind? Or let's go back to the fact that the boy was having issues and it took your son's girlfriend's black mama to call you to say, something is going on with him. Something's wrong. I'm taking him to therapy.
Oh, I ain't know that.
I just need to understand why the black woman always has to come in and fix something when your no good raggedy white self does absolutely nothing right in life besides lay on your back and have babies. Absolutely not. Let me tell you something. There is no way my child is staying the night at some random man's house that I don't know all the time. Oh, because I didn't have a way to get him to and from. There's something called a bus. You ain't heard of one of those? I'm gonna need you to get your life together. Forget it. You know what? I'm just gonna need you to come outside. I'm gonna need you to come outside.
Okay. Well,
wait,
thank you.
Before you go on to the next person, Drake Bell was out here swirling.
I know you gonna let him dip his spoon into a black sugar bowl.
Okay, hold on.
No, he never, I never got that from him that he was into black women, but okay.
I don't know. Hey, Gabby, what you got, Gabby?
First of all, this is personal for me because, like I said, I am a parent of a boy that's 11 and a girl that's 10. So, first of all, if you're from LA, there are plenty of means to transportation. Even if you didn't drive, you should have made your way to your child.
She ain't got no family.
It's the fact that as soon as the daddy said, "Look, I'm finna hand over everything to you, but the one thing you cannot do is let him go." And she didn't even wait 2 weeks, let alone a whole 7 days before she literally gave her son
She
to
hated
a
her ex-husband
predator.
that much.
She didn't like her husband at all. I think that was her give back. And the fact that Drake kept saying that they had a tumultuous divorce lets me know everything that I needed to know.
She
That
hated
was
him
your
that
get
much.
back.
That young man was being used as a pawn. Anything
Yeah,
else,
he
Gabby?
was. Okay, with the dad, I'm kind of conflicted because at least he tried. He did more than what the mama did.
Mm-hmm.
He was on set advocating for him. Hey, don't touch my son like that. He could put that shirt on himself. At 15 years old, if you can't dress yourself by 15, then something is wrong with you. But then again, the way that Brian was walking around, I feel like he knew that something was coming because a master manipulator, that's exactly how they work. They get into your ear and they plant little seeds. And as Drake was telling the story, you heard the seeds being planted. Once the seed was planted, that was all he needed to do. That's all he needed to make his move.
He picked up on how weak-minded that mammy was.
Exactly. And then on top of that, when Drake at
I
a
believe
certain
Drake
point,
probably told him. I really believe he got all that information from Drake
yeah, he did. He
about
had to.
the relationship between the mom and dad. And
He
I
had
think
to.
Drake also didn't like the fact that the dad was so like a helicopter parent almost. He wanted some freedom as well.
I
Because he
agree.
probably saw how some of them other kids' parents wasn't as hovering like his dad was. And his mom probably was in his ear telling him all types of bad stuff about his dad. Because if you listen to how he talked about the dad in the beginning, you could tell he didn't really care for the dad like that.
And I bet he regrets that tonight.
And
Today.
I don't know if the mom had some parts in that, but I think Drake has parts in this just as much as the mom. Thank you, Gabby. Let me go to.
Just as much as the mom. Absolutely not. That no good
I did,
heifer.
D Johnson, what you got, D Johnson?
I got two parts. Thank you for having me on the panel, but I want to add two
You're
parts into
welcome.
it. First,
this is your panel.
Just to really be sure, I'm always on her thoughts. But I want to give context as someone who went to art school and who was in this environment during that
You
time.
better break it down for us. Go ahead, boo.
This is very normal. Like you going over to like your coach's house and doing those things. It was and it still is very normal. I'm not saying it's right, but now as I'm older, I'm 31 now, I understand like all of these things are problematic. But I want people to understand that yes, the mama isn't shit. She isn't shit specifically because a lot of people are leaving out that she did not tell him after the verdict. The only people who went to the trial was the mom and the son, which tells me that it took a long time, even during this trial, as he was even coming up to do his first big show with Drake and Josh. No one told that father the whole time. He found out probably about, I would say like 10 years ago. And that's still like not adequate enough to me. And I feel like that mom ain't shit specifically for that, to hide something from a whole nother parent and keep him so uninvolved that your child was being abused, went and did like court with this whole thing and did not tell the father at all. I see the father's side because the father really was trying to put in all that time and energy. But when you're in that environment, the first thing you're always being pushed is you have to trust that person. They have 20, 30 years of experience. So yeah, going to that person's house, yeah, all the kids go to his house because they want to get trained. They want to get specialties. And a lot of times with these specialty coaches, they teach the sessions specifically at their houses because they can't afford to actually do it at a studio or do it in another space. So a lot of times you're actually put in these very uncomfortable places where you're at someone's house, or you're at someone else's house, or you're alone, or you're doing sessions for long periods of times, and you're just by yourself with this person, and you're trusting them because guess what? Everyone around you, kids around you, adults around you, saying like, "Oh, you should trust that person." And a lot of times in the end, you should not trust that person because that person is literally setting up something for you to get you in the end.
Okay. Well, thank you for that context, sir. That added a lot of information to us. Drinks with D, who said he been drinking since 5 o'clock if y'all need him.
You know what I gotta say is F that damn mama. I can't stand her ass. She ain't shit. And you know what? She should have listened to that damn daddy. So F her. And the fact that it took another damn parent to understand what the F was going on with her damn son, she ain't shit. She ain't damn shit. And you know what? She can go to hell on the damn 800 damn degrees. F her. F her. You know what? I can't stand people like her. Okay? You know what? If you got something against your ex-husband, that's one damn thing. But you got kids with them people, and you understand that they love your child. You need to understand and take all that damn shit aside and understand that that is your child and that is your child's father. Okay? And he knows what damn is right. Don't play with me. No, I don't play with kids. No, that shit upsets me. That shit upsets me. You know what? She should go to jail too. Give her 16 damn months and some damn secure community service. Shit, just like his ass did too. And I'm done. Goodbye.
Well, thank you.
I ain't leaving.
Really, B?
So, here's what I think. I am not a proponent of the death penalty. However, I always feel like if we want to truly give justice, then I think that people while they're in jail should endure what was done, what the crime was that was committed, but not to death. So, for example, I feel like she should go to jail and she should have to experience what her son experienced for the length of time she allowed her son to experience it. So if it was a year, then every day for a year, I read sodomy, I read forced oral, I read objects,
Also, there was pornography made too.
Right. So I just feel like she should be in a cell and she don't never know who coming, if it's going to be Bubba or Bertha. Right. And it just, for 2 hours a day, it should just be.
Wait. You're not gonna slide past Bubba or Bertha and just keep it going. Like, I don't care if it's Bubba or Bertha. You know what? Go ahead.
Help, Jesus. Help.
Because listen, I honestly, I'm not. I understand what you said, D. Johnson, but even with that, there was no need for that boy to spend the night. I get going over I'm gonna give you that. Because people do piano lessons at people's houses and stuff like that. But you don't let your child spend the night. And I get it. But I think ultimately what it boils down to is what I said earlier is we sell that common sense for the chance of the stardom that we want our kids to have. And for a lot of parents, they're living through their kids, whether it be through whatever financial success they think is going to come and help the family, whatever stardom and attention they think is going to come. So you throw your good common sense out the window for those things. And for the people that have pure intentions, there's never an issue. But the problem is you don't always know the people with pure intentions from the predators. And here's why our kids constantly get caught up. That husband told that woman, listen, I'm going to step aside because I don't want to stand in the way of what my son wants. This is what he's wanted his whole life. This is what we've been building up for. He's finally getting that stardom that he's been wanting. So I'm going to stand aside. But do not let It's like God with the apple. You can have all this food in this daggone garden. You just can't eat that apple. And what the hoe do?
Bite the apple.
But that and thank you, really, B. But that goes back to what I was going to say earlier. I think that part of it was, I don't think the mom set out and said, "Oh, I'm finna make the dad mad and have him go with the dude that he told me point blank not to have him with." I think what happened was Drake wanted to go with that man. Remember, the man was giving Drake everything Drake wanted, taking him to Disneyland and all of that stuff. And I think it goes back to what we talked about earlier, where the relationship with parent and child gets flipped, where the child starts calling the shots because the child is the breadwinner. The child, and you know, in America, whoever's the breadwinner in a lot of households, that's who they, people think should call the shots. And I think it got to the point, because remember, Drake said he was like 15 at this point. We know how 15-year-olds are. We know how 15-year-old teenagers are.
What way are you talking about? What do you
And
mean?
so
we all were 15 and we all were rebellious.
That's some white folk shit, because I don't care if you
no, that's black people just rebellious too.
But wait a minute. But
you don't give them their way. Like, just because he wanted to do it don't mean
that's
he
some white
get to
people
do it.
stuff. No, that's some white people stuff. Giving the child
no.
But ain't so many damn times you gonna
hold on. We got a lot of people talking at once. Let me try to moderate a little bit. Drinks with D, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, ain't no many about so many damn times you're gonna take a damn child to a damn Disneyland, okay? And so many times you're gonna blow the child's phone up to be like, why you ain't coming to my damn house? Ain't so many damn times for all this. The mama ain't shit, okay? And all that, it's so many times for all of that to happen for you to realize that your child is being abused.
Mm-hmm.
I think and I think part of it is to think about, they had this bitter divorce, and a lot of parents understand or see the toll that it takes on that child, and so as to help that child or make them feel better about everything that's going on, they do try to sometimes mitigate those experiences by giving them what they want or having them have what they want. And I think that was compounded by the fact that he was the breadwinner. I think Really B, you had something to say. I think Darren, you had something to say. So I'll go to you, Really B.
No, all I was saying was I understand what you're saying, and I get that. And listen, I don't disagree that Drake probably wanted to go. He enjoyed until the relationship took that left turn. I think he really liked the friendship that he thought he had with this guy. But again, I think that's also part of the reason why they pushed the father out, because the father wasn't letting him do whatever he wanted to do, and the father wasn't letting him call the shots. And so I do think, going back to what you said, I do think that Drake probably had, supported the father being pushed out and wanted, and let the mother, sort of take the lead on that, because that is what he wanted. But that's why we go back to the mother ain't shit, because you were the weakest link, and they exploited the fact that, because here's the thing, if you and the father stood as a united front, he'd have never got to your child.
Period.
Darren?
Well, no, I mean, she hit the nail. Yeah, I mean, obviously I understood that the mom ain't shit also, but my thing is this, what because after he divorced the mother, you get what I'm saying, was there still a relationship between the father and Drake? And that's just what I want.
Well, if I'm not
said
mistaken,
for many years they were estranged.
They were, but no.
See, I didn't see that part. Okay.
And also they were divorced before they Drake started going with the mother. They was already divorced.
Yeah, I thought they was divorced a long time ago.
Well, like Drake was 5 years old.
Like 5. I think he said they were 5 years old.
And it sounds like Drake's daddy had custody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I have a thought, right? So we're gonna red ball back to Nickelodeon when the father complained and tried to get rid of Peck and was like, "Hey, this isn't right." It was like, he's gay. Are you homophobic?
Yeah,
Right. They
that's
flipped
what
it on the
I'm
dad.
They do
Yeah,
that a
Right.
lot.
They flipped it
They-
on the
That's
dad.
where
That's where
that's where I
about
feel
my
like
child.
Brian.
That wouldn't
That
have
lady
stopped
that
me if it
told
was
him that
about
she
my
tried it.
child. I'm sorry. I'm like,
Right.
I'll be
But
back.
No, but okay. Can I say something? Can I say something? You say that wouldn't have stopped you from protecting your child, but it didn't. That's what I'm saying. After he went there, I don't know why you focused on the daddy, and that's fine. That's your opinion. That's your
I'm
opinion.
just saying, we gotta get
But I'm saying in the documentary, he said when he went to Nickelodeon, and he complained. Nickelodeon flipped it on him and called him homophobic and said, "Well, you must be homophobic because this is a gay man." And he
No.
said, and around that time is when Brian was whispering it, was getting in Drake's ear. Don't nobody up here like your dad. Your dad is hurting your career. Your dad is stealing your money. So again, all of those things were happening simultaneously. It didn't make the father stop because remember the dad said that didn't stop him. He just pulled back from complaining. But it didn't stop
It
him
also
from
speaks
stop because he
to,
said that I would not allow him to spend time with him. He
and
limited
that's
the
the
amount
same
of time.
story that the if you remember Brian Hearn's mom had the same story when he went on there and she started to complain about, hey, this don't seem right, and they were like,
Right.
ma'am,
They tried to
this
make it
ain't
seem like
what
she was
we got
difficult to
right.
work with.
Ma'am, go sit down over there in the corner. We ain't got this type of time.
Wait, y'all
So
see after that they had started making the parents go wait out in the waiting room, and they started to have that man walk the kids to the thing and leave the parents out in the back.
yep.
I'm just
Right.
simply saying, once
And
they started to realize, I'm like, so when the parents was telling y'all that there was a problem with these people, instead of y'all getting rid of the people, y'all was like, oh, let me get rid of the parents and get this stagehand to walk the kids to the set. But the
Right. And
parents,
remember what they said too. They said, and remember what Brian said. He said that basically he knew or he felt like that his mother was the reason why he lost his job, and he resented his mom and that hurt their relationship for many years because he felt like his mom was the reason why he lost his job. And I mean, of course, in hindsight, I'm sure that he looks at it differently, but in the moment, it was, you're the reason why I got fired.
Yeah, he was a kid though, but my thing is she was just looking out for him.
Yeah.
Right,
They were trying to make it seem like
I'm just saying in the instance with the dad was doing the same thing, and that's what they were doing to the dad.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, and I'll say this, black parents treat their kids different than white parents. Let's just call it what it is. Black parents are very protective of their kids. They're not letting everybody be around their kids. They're not letting everybody touch their kids. Maybe they want to see what's going on.
Can I shout to the windows real quick?
They're gonna be like, I need to see what's going on. So it makes sense when Brian Hearn's mom was like, I don't like myself getting into that.
Can I add a little bit to it? Because I don't want to add that it's not happening to black kids, because I want to really add context that for me personally, we had a Brian Peck at the institute I was in. That man abused kids from the 90s all the way up till 2019.
Wow.
And got away.
Wow.
You can Google it. I went to Cleveland School of the Arts. Look at Cleveland School of the Arts. It might even come up on, I think it might be on NBC News. But the instructor was a dance instructor. Went, performed in Broadway, was awards out the wazoo. And he was abusing kids for basically 3 decades. And we went to a historically black art school. And I want people to understand it's not the parents. I want people to understand that people like Brian Peck will insert himself in these environments. And what Brian Peck and Terrence Green, who was the person who assaulted all these kids in my situation, in the environment I was in, I want people to understand that he played on those specific
A predator
families.
knows how to A predator knows how to do
for
it.
children.
Yeah.
So he knew Drake's family had some tumultuous things going on, and he
Exactly. And that's why I say I know Drake was telling him that.
He inserted himself in and netching himself in. So even with the how did he sleep over at night? Because he knew that he could, let me talk to the mama. Oh, I know your son having trouble with his dad right now. Oh, come on.
And
over.
I know you don't like to drive, so don't worry about it.
That's
He can
what
stay here.
happens. It's very, very normal.
Here's the other thing. And we learned this after they talked about the trial. he wasn't just some regular rinky-dink guy. He was very well connected,
Clearly,
very well
yeah,
known,
yeah.
and had some heavyweights behind him
To the point they was
that
writing the letters
okayed
and
it,
going to bat
that
with
said
him.
he's the one to go to, that said no, ain't nothing wrong with him. He fine. So even when the dad, who's I just got my one child and I'm not in the industry, when
He was
really
outnumbered.
tried to put up a fight, they're like, bruh, that's Brian Peck. He got like everybody in Hollywood that works with him. What the hell are you talking about?
Exactly.
So there's that part of it too.
You know what? You know what I find hard to understand is like, because this is what you bring up too. It's like when they started talking about them people and when they started writing them letters, they started saying how like, oh, he was seduced and oh, you know, such and such. It was like, I don't understand how we can all agree that they did the shit, but then there's always a explanation of the fact. It's like I don't understand that. Like, why do people condone this stuff? I don't understand it. I really don't. I don't get that.
I do think that in terms of because remember, they said that they never put out until who was involved or who Brian Peck was involved with, or at first, you know, even though they started to figure it out. But I think Brian Peck probably only told people part of the story. He probably only told people bits and pieces that made it look it look advantageous to him, which is why you had all of those people. Because I'm sure some of those people right now are going to their lawyers and saying, how the hell did they get a copy of this letter that I wrote to this judge? I guarantee you right now there's some attorneys making calls right now.
Y'all know what? Like from when I heard that stuff, what they said on the documentary, it triggered me to R. Kelly. It was like they both had the same mindset. And it's like I really don't understand it. I really don't understand it. It's like y'all can condone it because of what they put out.
But you know what? But that's why I get so angry when people want to victim shame. Because here's the thing. Do people make bad decisions sometimes? Sure. Do people have lapse in judgment sometimes? Absolutely. But it does not excuse, accept, or defend a criminal violating somebody or a predator violating somebody. And so we've got to stop. And I say we because I'm just speaking in general terms, but we've got to stop automatically assuming just because, oh, well, he's always so nice to the old ladies at church. He couldn't have possibly have done that. Or
and
well,
Drake was a whole teenager.
Oh, he makes some great music. Oh my gosh, he couldn't possibly do that. Oh my gosh, I love his movies. He can't possibly. We've got to stop doing that. And for the people that like El Teddy said, this man got some heavy hitters. Because I mean, if you go back, you know, some heavy hitters to write letters and to sit in court with him. You know, it's the same thing with Danny Masterson. Like, yes, that's your friend, but I need you to look at what he's being accused of. And at the end of the day, what we all know to be true is what is released to the public is never the whole story. So if this man was arrested for violating a child, it doesn't matter who that child was. He was arrested for violating a child. Some of those letters, when they showed the excerpts where those people were like, oh, well, he was seduced. Oh, he was forced. Oh, he was misled. But his charges involved a minor. So I don't understand how anybody can say, oh, well, I was misled. I wasn't given the whole story. It was in the paper.
Exactly. And Joanna Kearns.
I mean, like, that is what he was charged with. So my thing is
like the side eye that I'm giving Joanna Kearns right now.
Joanna Kearns, she was like,
you know,
she in the letter, she was like, surely,
girl, I'm looking at you like, and let me say this. I will say this. I think that we do got a lot of fever for Joanna Kearns because I do think we look at ladies differently. At least I think people do, because we think of the motherly nature of women and say, "How dare you write a letter defending this predator?" But all of the people are just as vile, you know, for defending him, just as Joanna.
I think that's probably just the name that everybody knows. Everybody knows Mama. You know,
we know Alan Thicke, and that man, even though he's going to the great beyond, we know Alan Thicke. Sir.
I have a question for the panel.
No, and here's my question. Oh, one thing, right, real quick. I find it interesting. Was Brian Peck a part of the Growing Pains show? Like, was he on that?
Yeah,
He was.
set?
yeah, he worked on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make because I wanted, and so I wondered if, because I ain't seen none of the children from Growing Pains having
You
that
ain't see
same.
that you didn't see that video of him rubbing on Leonardo DiCaprio?
I
Yeah,
saw
that's-
with
that's
was
what-
Leonardo DiCaprio on Growing Pains. I don't remember.
Yeah, he was on Growing Pains. Yeah,
That must have been in the later years.
So
But
that's
what
yeah,
I'm
like the last 2 seasons. Yeah.
but what
It
I'm
was
saying is,
Joanne's
I
nerves
noticed
for me.
it's always adults defending him. You don't see none of them children involved in these shows.
Well, no,
defending
that's what.
Brian
But no,
Peck.
that's
Some of
what
them
it
were
was.
children.
Some of the people that wrote the letters were
James
kids.
Marsden.
James
That's
Marsden, the boy from Boy Meets World, they were kids when they knew him.
They were like 16
That's my-
and even like
Yeah.
24 when they actually wrote some of those letters.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm getting
Ryder,
at.
Ryder Strong and Will
Maybe he
Friedle
hadn't
were
gotten
on
around
Boy
to
Meets
them
World.
yet.
No,
He
but
probably did get
I
around
think
to them.
differently. Do you guys think that Drake was his first victim?
No.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I don't think Drake
Can
was
I
his
say
first victim.
something?
I do find it interesting that nobody else has come out, but I don't think he was his first victim.
But that's
at
what
all.
I think. I think that some of those letters might be mind control, because we know how the Stockholm syndrome works. Maybe that
I don't disagree with you. That's kind of what I alluded to without coming right out and saying it. But that's kind of what I alluded to as well. I feel the same way.
Stockholm. Gabby, you've been real quiet. What you got over there to
No,
say?
I was just saying, no, for Joanne, how dare you write a letter saying that the child seduced this fully grown man?
Yes.
I'm still trying to figure out, how does a 15-year-old child seduce
a 40-year-old man?
Almost 40-year-old man?
Because
I'm
they
still
see
trying
us
to
as
figure that out.
adults in the
And then for
industry.
James, Negro, you still got a job, sir. Was you not in Sonic just a couple months ago or a year ago?
Yeah,
or
he
something?
did speak out too. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Exactly. And when I seen his face, I said,
Yeah.
I was in total shock.
I
was
would be
in
shocked
total
with
shock.
with these people of no color. Honestly, they will dime themselves out. And girl,
Hell, even people with who do have color. Look at all the Tory Lane supporters who wrote all them goddamn letters.
Look at all the R. Kelly
Yeah,
supporters.
Right, and
the R. Kelly
And then we have the whole R.
Oh,
Kelly situation. They
I
still
remember
out here
what I
windmilling for
wanted
R.
to say.
Kelly.
I remember what I wanted to say. We still, especially at that time, we're at a time where people don't take assault that comes from, I guess, men serious.
That's true too.
Like, and it was
That's
at that
true.
time. It was back in the day almost. So it's like, people was like, oh yeah, no, that wasn't going on. Like, people had their ways. They only feel like this certain.
It only happened to girls.
Mm-hmm.
The industry as a whole does not understand abuse. That's
no.
How like starting point.
Oh no,
period,
they
like,
understand it, but they
they don't.
understand it, but it affects their bottom line, and so they choose no. Because I'm not disagreeing with you like that, but I'm saying because abuse ain't that hard to understand. So they understand abuse, but they don't want to see. Here's the thing: once you acknowledge a problem, then you got to do something about it. Just like with Dan, going back to Dan, they knew Nickelodeon knew there was a problem, but he was their cash cow. So, so once they acknowledged a problem, then they had to worry about how that was going to affect their bottom line.
And I know legal
so they
got
chose
involved
to not
too.
acknowledge, right? So they chose not to acknowledge the problem. And the other thing is when you're dealing with kids are a lot easier to manipulate. Kids are a lot easier, and their parents as well. Just like they said, the parents didn't say anything because they were afraid of the kids getting fired.
But when you talk about bottom dollar, you have to acknowledge the fact that when the problem came, I'm sure some higher up went to legal. What do we have here? Anything that we need to be worried about? Because we'll fire him today. But once the legal said, we're looking at it, we don't have anything that would, that's actionable or anything of that nature. It seems benign, or they said, all right, it ain't gonna cost us no money. Nah, they ain't got to care. All right, well, we'll keep it moving. I'm telling you, that's how they go. They go to legal first. Once they go to legal, and legal says you good on our end, but it may be unethical, we could deal with ethics.
Right. And it sounds like these kids have 1-year contracts, which means that when you don't have any guaranteed money, when your contract is season by season, then you got to play nice if you want to come back. And look at some of those kids that got fired and they didn't do nothing wrong. They were just like, well, we just weren't asked back. So it
Like
sounds
the
like
girl that got replaced with Amanda
Speaking of
Bynes.
which, That's
Yeah,
a great.
Trina
That is
Johnson.
a great segue.
Oh
So
yeah.
can we get to the racism portion of it? Because we talked about the
All
child
of the
sexual
isms.
abuse, but there was the racism component. We had Leon Frierson that spoke out about
with his
the
fine
nose
ass.
playing Nose Boy. And then we had Brian Hurst. Now here's my let me first say this. The Nose Boy situation, it wasn't a sexual thing for me. I don't know, that got morphed into
When
the
he
sexual.
sneezed, it
For
was.
me, it was the microaggression and it was racist tropes by having this black boy to me with this overly sized nose. That's the part where I had an issue. I had to go and look. I said, well, I guess if you want to say those are penises and ball, I really didn't get the penis ball situation on his thing until he pointed it out. And baby, I'm just, you know what I'm saying.
They equate big noses to apes and monkeys.
Right, and that was my thing.
It was Brian for me when they showed the clip where he was outside selling Girl Scout cookies. I seen another clip when he's actually talking to Diddy and he has on a skirt.
Ooh, not Diddy.
That didn't age well.
All roads lead to Diddy. He probably involved too.
That part.
You know it.
But then too, another thing, I know I'm going back a little bit to the beginning. Dan, can we bring Dan to the front row, please?
Come on.
Come to the
Dan
whiteboard.
Schneider.
Dan, whiteboard, we need you up here to the front of the class. The whiteboard, we need you to come to the whiteboard.
Dan
Come to the front of the
Schneider.
class.
I understand that you're doing damage control right now. I really don't. I don't give two craps about you and these YT tears that you got going on. But what the audience really want to know is what was you and Amanda doing behind them closed doors?
Yep.
Hello.
That's what I want to know.
That's the story I want.
I don't know that we'll ever
And
get
that's why I was like, what?
Because here's the deal. I promise you, the moment Amanda Bynes comes out, they're going to bring.
She gonna tell it all.
Every mental lapse she's had, they're going to discredit her. They're going to dog walk her and make her seem like she's having another mental episode. I'm telling you how it's going to go.
Right. I'm gonna disagree. I think that's what they're gonna try to do. But I think that for people like me, I'm gonna be like, well, that explains the mental issues. Like you was fucking with her.
The ones that watch the show, that is. But here's the thing. For every mental breakdown, if you actually read between the lines and listen to the Kanye's of it all, they're actually saying something. She gonna tell it all when she do tell it.
Really, B, was it you last night that kind of decoded that message that was on Tumblr?
To be fair, that was Xavier.
Okay.
But I read it. I did read it.
Wait, what message
Xavier,
on Tumblr? Did I miss it?
There was this old Tumblr letter that was.
Was it in the members only chat?
Hold on, let me send it to you. Hold on. Oh shit.
Was it in the members only chat?
No, he sent it to me. Hold on, I'm about to send it to you. I'm about to send
It
it to
was
you.
allegedly written by Amanda Bynes. She has never confirmed nor denied the letter. It was a blind item, and if you look at the first paragraph of her part of the letter, it seems a little bit weird, but once you realize the capital letters all spell out Dan did it. Now, what did Dan do? We don't know, but it spells out Dan did it.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Allegedly, this was put up. This
y'all
was
need
put on
them big
Tumblr when she
people
was
out.
very active on there.
I think Dan Schneider would have did himself a better service by shutting the fuck up and just going and hiding in your corner and ordering your Uber Eats and your DoorDash and having Instacart come over and not being seen and spend the money that Nickelodeon is making you.
No, wait, the dude from iCarly that had damn donuts on a stick interview you like what?
Why you drag Tebow into it? You don't even like black people. Why you gotta drag Tebow into it?
The scapegoat.
Because black folks is always the savior. That's why he had that black boy interviewing him.
Well, that didn't save him because why is an old employee interviewing you is gonna do what? That don't do nothing for us. You paid him probably.
And
That
people
was
was
kind of
looking at him
biased though.
saying like you was an adult in this environment. You ain't see nothing. You ain't spoke out about nothing.
I just sent it to you, Teddy.
Okay.
I had to use your words, Xavier, lying and stuttering and lying. That's all they were
We
doing in that
also
video. That
talk
was a
about
waste of time.
Dan's wife too, how problematic she is as well.
He's married.
Yeah.
To a woman.
We told you it was a woman who
Not
did
to a
it.
woman.
To a woman?
Yes.
To a whole woman.
Remember when I think it was the
All right,
Tyra
Auntie.
Banks show, and there was a guest. Pat LaBelle was the guest, and they were cooking the food, and she was disrespecting Pat LaBelle. That's his wife. That cook that was in that.
The lady that was trying to tell Patty Bell how to cook her patty
that
pies.
is his wife.
No, wasn't it the lady that was thinking that Pat was gonna eat the paper?
Yep. That's
I was
the wife.
joking when
That
I
is
said
his
patty
wife.
pies, but yeah, that's her.
Oh.
Yeah,
Child.
Patty got her all the way together.
I'm not surprised that he married to a woman. Not at
Oh, I'm
all.
not saying he's gay, but I just thought that I'm just.
I just didn't
thinking
know
a
that he
human.
was married.
I should have said a human to a human is my question.
And then too,
Listen,
another
he's
thing.
rich and he's
Out
fat.
of all,
One clogged
and-
artery. Girl.
right. Out of all of these grown-ups that was on set with these children, nobody never said, maybe we should speak up about the treatment of the children.
Everybody,
but the black parents
But
did.
people did speak up. That's the thing. People did.
Virgil,
The daddy,
Virgil
Da-
Fabian
Drake's
tried,
dad spoke up.
and Virgil Fabian, the man who he was like a stagehand or something. He was the
He
only
got
male
fired.
adult.
Oh, Virgil, yeah,
he
I remember
was
that
the
guy.
only male adult who
Always
was kind of.
get rid
And
of
the
those.
way that he got fired was kind of cowardly to me.
It was.
Cause he was
I
like,
didn't
if
even think
Dan
that was
want me to
legal.
go, then he need to come tell me himself.
I didn't even know that was
Well-
legal. That you can have another employee fire another employee.
That also
Right,
is very
wrongful
normal in the
termination.
industry as well.
See, I
That is
think
very normal.
people,
It's very normal.
but here's the thing. Here's
Hold
the thing.
on, hold on 1 second. What happened, D Johnson?
I was just saying that is very normal. Unfortunately, I'm laughing because I've dealt with these situations. It is very normal that literally it'll be a PA. It could be literally a PA just come up to you and walk up. Yeah, your services are no longer needed. We'll
Thank
send
you
you
for coming,
back in the
please drive
mail.
safely.
Yeah, and they will literally
Damn.
escort you out and get security. And like even when your guys were talking about like doing the background check, a lot of times most of us on these productions are contract workers. A lot of times when those background checks, like you could be already done with the production and then the background check come after you already done. That's the type of energy that you get. It's very unprofessional. That's the biggest thing I want people to understand now as you start seeing a lot of these documentaries come out. That is very normal that people get in these spaces and you're so focused on I want to get ahead or I just need to get this check to get another job. And you will constantly just almost dumb down your ethics and how you see things. I've
Look
definitely
past
watched
stuff.
children being abused by their parents on production. I can say
Yeah,
that
I got a question about. I got a complaint about that. The one temp girl that said she quit her job or whatever she did. Ma'am, in the 1990s, rent was like 2 cents. I
It
get
was
that.
not 2 cents. Let's be clear.
I'm about to say rent was not 2 cents in the 1990s.
And they definitely was not paying you that well back then. either.
They weren't paying you, but it was a feasible living. Whatever.
It was
No, she was sharing. She was sharing.
I
one
know,
dollar.
I know, but no, I understand that, but my thing with her is, I get that you was a temp. There is no way possible that I would have felt comfortable sharing a salary. If you want 2 women as writers, you're gonna have to pay each of us, whether it's the same amount that you pay the men or whatever amounts that they were getting paid, but separately, not together.
It was ethically wrong.
Okay,
the girl,
well-
she had to go
Yeah,
to
but
the
you- my first
writing
job-
guild.
That's easy
But
to
then
say
she
now.
Right, but that's
stayed
easy.
the
Right.
longest,
That's
though.
easy
But
to
that's
say in
easy. That's
2024.
easy to say. But it is not even so much easy to say in 2024. That's easy to say when you're trying to when you've been offered your dream job. This is what you're trying to do. You are temping because you're trying to become a Hollywood writer, and you get the phone call that says, "Hey, we can ready to give you your dream job, but the budget only allows for one more writer. We found 2 people that we really like. We need you guys to split the salary. Listen, everybody, I can't tell somebody else what they would or wouldn't do, but I understand saying, okay, I'm gonna take a step back because hopefully this gonna get me in the door, and then 2 years from now, I can take 10 steps forward. I think a lot of us have taken steps back to get in the door to be able to, with the possibility of taking a step forward. So I understand why she did it. I understand why she did it. I do. I don't begrudge her that, you know. But I want to say this about the complaints part. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
No, about the complaints part. I want to. They showed us where the man was under investigation 3 separate times. The man was sued in his very first job with Nickelodeon. The very first writing staff he had, the woman sued him, and she won a settlement.
That was
so
one
it's
of the
not
ladies
like
that was splitting the salary.
Right,
and what after she found out that they weren't supposed to be doing all of the illegalities that they were doing.
Right, but what I'm saying is, that's just going back to what somebody said about the fact that they let him keep working it. I'm like, people did complain, like the man, but that goes back to again that nobody was willing to fire him because he was making them too much money. And that one costume designer that didn't show her face, that's what she even said. She said, wait a minute, let me finish. I'll tell you. That was what that one costume designer said. She said, I think the producer said, well, did you complain? She said, everybody knew what he was doing from New York to LA. What was me complaining was going to do what? They knew. They knew.
The thing about it is this, as much as they call it Dan Schneider to the carpet, who's the C-suites at Nickelodeon who's asking to be called up to the fucking whiteboard? Y'all need to bring y'all ass to the fucking whiteboard and answer some questions. Because like that lady said, everybody knew, and somebody kept letting his ass be there. Somebody kept saying, nah, bring Dan back. Nah, we're gonna let him slide this time. Nah, it's okay. Legal said it's all right.
It goes back to Really B's point. He was making too much money. He had his shows hit. Okay, when I tell you,
which is why the C-suites need to come to the whiteboard. That's who we need to have come to the goddamn front of the class.
They care about, because you see what happened, what they did with Brian Beck. Brian Beck ended up working for Disney.
Because if I'm being honest, that's all Dan cared about too, was the numbers and making money.
And while he's sitting on those interviews telling lies, like he talking like he didn't know, you did know.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you expect him to say in an interview? Let's just be clear. I don't know that you expect him to spill his guts in the interview and say,
I know, I'm just saying.
I did all of these things, and I just really don't expect him to do any of that.
It was the constant disrespect, and it just was everything for me for the women. It was everything. Like when he made the girl eat the 2 pints of ice cream in 30 minutes and said that he was gonna give her $300.
No, let me push back on that. The fact that she said, yes, I'm gonna eat these 2 pints. Right. I'm not. First of all, you did that, ma'am. Now it's hard.
No, you say no, then he get mad. Nah, they said if you
can I just say something?
Maybe that
the
would have been
CEO
the day I been fired. I'm sorry.
The CEO of Nickelodeon during Dan's time as
wasn't Nick Cannon over Nick Teens at one point?
No, the fuck he was not.
No.
That was,
I don't remember that.
He was at one point.
He was the face. Oh my god!
Didn't they say he was the president CEO of Wildin' Out?
Wait a minute. I want to hear. Who was the president?
The president was Herb Scannell. He was there from 1996 to 2006.
Oh, he should have been fired too.
He is fired, I think.
I just think that what we all have to, not have to, I don't want to say have to, but I think what we all can acknowledge is that everybody has their line in the sand, right?
Yeah.
So I can't tell Quake what her line is versus El Teddy what his line is versus, versus D what his line is. So I can't tell somebody what would have been their point, right? So everybody has a line in the sand. If I'm sitting there and I'm splitting the salary and I ain't got no damn money, and the man's like, "Yo, I give you $300 if you can do it." Shit, I'm taking that $300. Now when he ain't pay me, now we got another conversation. I took the $300. Now I'm gonna tell you where my line in the sand would have been. I'm not bending over no desk pretending to be sodomized. Now that I'm not doing.
According to Nickelodeon, hold on. According to Nickelodeon, Nick Cannon was the chairman of Teen Nick Channel for Nickelodeon in 2009.
Oh,
that was all the way
he
after
had
the fact.
he had an
I'm
award
just
show
saying
on
at
that
some
channel.
point the man
I
did
just
have
remember.
some. Yeah, he was.
I got a damn question. I got a question.
Oh,
Well,
Hmm.
go ahead.
My question is, it's like, who the hell was doing the damn hiring? And that's where I'm damn confused because you got Dan Snyder here talking about, oh, I ain't do the hiring, and yet this and everything had to go through Nickelodeon, and yet Nickelodeon talking about, oh yeah, here we are talking about we're gonna do these higher standards to not let this happen. So where was the hiring going through?
Well,
What
we
was
could
the
admit
hiring
that
processing?
HR
I'm
did
not
not do
understanding.
their legal duties.
Do you want to know how it worked back in the day or how it works now?
Both.
well, back in the day, 'cause
Back
that's what
in the
we're talking
day
about.
now. Back in the day then, because this happened in the late 90s all the way to
2018.
2018.
Yeah, so
2018. Yeah.
back in the
So
day,
who was doing the damn hiring? Was it a third party? Well, I'm so damn confused. Literally,
All
I'm
right, D. Johnson,
so
hip us to the
goddamn
game.
confused.
okay,
Go
Hip
so
us to the
off.
game, D.
back
Johnson.
in
Go
the
ahead.
day,
Ain't even
the
funny.
setup.
I'm like,
Wait,
I'm
he gonna tell us
confused.
drinks with D. Hold on, he gonna tell us.
So
Okay,
back in
go
the day,
ahead.
the setup was specifically for talent. It was set up where it was still back in the setup where your agent or someone would get flyers or get emails that would be reaching out for certain types of talent. Then you would go into Nickelodeon Studios and you would audition as talent. And usually, like Dan said, you would usually have someone like Dan. Usually, you actually wouldn't have someone like Dan. Dan would actually be at like the final interview. But it seemed like Dan was there from the very beginning, like interviewing everybody. So
Yeah.
you would literally be sitting around like the executive producers, the directors, the creators, some of the writers, and you would actually just be doing dialogue. Depending on how they liked you, you would do it maybe for 5 minutes. Sometimes it'd be 30 minutes. Sometimes it'd be even hours, depending on what they wanted out of you. When it came to departments, it actually is still kind of the same where, let's say for me, example, I worked specifically, well, I used to at least work in the costume department. I would be reached out from someone in the costume department. Now today it's not set up in a way. A lot of times it's your friend saying like, hey, yeah, something's coming up. Do you want to just jump onto this project? It's not any like system where it's like you're interviewing for anything anymore. A lot of times it's who you know, not actually what your capability is or what you're trained at.
Okay, but I mean, but like the people like the Pack guy and all those other predators is like were they like that's what I'm confused on
Yes,
is
they
like
were in charge
were
of
they
deciding if you would be put on a project. Then it would go to
okay
Nickelodeon Studios and they would do the background check to make sure you got all of your approval. Sometimes, once again, you would get approval after you've already been working. So sometimes you would see certain people shoot something and then they're pulled off because, let's say, their background didn't come back right. But a lot of the times you would have situations where they would say like you could be doing a interview or a casting call and you could be literally doing it on Tuesday and you would be already working by Wednesday.
but what I'm saying is like okay maybe well I'm just saying like those people they were hired from Disney. I mean not from Disney but from
No, usually
Nickelodeon.
it is who is working on that specific production. So
So
Dan
it had
would
to
be deciding who would be on production. He would be the
so
person
it had to
making
be
the final say.
So it had to be Dan Snyder that hired those
Yes.
people
Yes.
that did those things.
Yep. Yes.
So he lying.
Oh yeah, he definitely is lying. I'm not
That's what I
disagreeing
gotta
with
say
that.
because
I
you
am
know
not
what
disagreeing. Dan definitely
He is
was
lying.
very
because,
much involved
because y'all know what I
in
gotta
part of
say.
the
Like,
system.
have y'all watched that interview that launched today? That 19-minute interview.
Yeah.
That's
I
what I'm
saw bits and
saying.
pieces. I
That's
didn't
what
engage
blew
with
me
it.
away because I was so damn confused. I was like, who in the hell is hiring these people?
He's trying to play legal word salad because yes, Nickelodeon does
Thank you
make
so
the
much,
final
D.
decision. It's on
Johnson.
your
Thank you.
paycheck.
Thank you for
It's going to
explaining that.
show
I
on the
appreciate
paycheck that yeah, Nickelodeon's paying you But yes, Dan and
Dan
those
did the hiring.
executives are the person who are deciding if you're going to get hired on the project.
Well, here's my.
So why was his bitch ass lying to us, making it seem like he wasn't the one doing that shit? I'm dragging his ass through that fat
He wants to take the attention off of him.
can't stand his
Oh, I mean, Dan is never going to. If you're expecting him to admit, I think you're dreaming. Here's what I need to see, though. What I need to see is I want the documentary on all the little sitcom child stars, because that's a whole shit show in itself. That's the documentary I want. I want the documentary on all of the child stars and actors from all of these NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox. I want the big four. That's who need to be drugged, because all of those kids are train wrecks. All of them.
Not all of them. I wouldn't even say most. I would say a lot.
Okay, but what do we consider
the Disney kids are real messed up too.
But what are we considering?
They ain't gonna let Disney.
They
need a
mentally
whole
unstable.
situation
They
on
have
Disney.
a long
Disney not
list
gonna
of
let that happen.
DUIs.
But wait a minute, what are we considering train wrecks? Are we considering like Candace Cameron Bure train wrecks, or are we like Orlando Brown train wrecks?
I mean,
Orlando Brown train wreck.
Orlando Brown.
I'm not gonna go as far. It doesn't have to be as far or extensive as Orlando Brown, but
because when we look at the kids from the 90s, I don't think they're as bad as like the kids from the 70s and 60s.
Because I don't think
who are
Tia
you
Tamera
giving me
are
from
bad.
the 90s?
Tia
Let's
Tamera.
start to think about.
So
who
when
you
we
got
think
from the
about
90s.
so we talk about the 90s. I'm talking about like the Family Matters kids, the growing. I mean not the all the TGI, the sister, the what's the damn show I'm trying to think of? The Full House kids. Remember the Suzanne Summers show that had a bunch of kids. Right. When you think about Love and Marriage, Christina Applegate. When you think about
Married with Children,
yeah, I was thinking about the theme
I
song.
mean,
Love
they say
and
David
Marriage.
Faustino is working the streets of LA trying to get him. Let me shut up.
But I'm just saying, when we look at when I think about the train wrecks, I think about Different Strokes.
Oh yeah, all of them went downhill.
But I think that, but so that's why I say I don't know about. I guess we would have to what is the definition? What definition are we using for train wreck? I guess that's what we would have to say.
I guess we would say many of their careers were very short-lived.
But is that a train wreck, or is that just right? That's not a train wreck, though.
Some of them are train wrecks. Some of them just had short-lived careers. I do think there's a documentary to tell, because if I'm doing that, if I'm doing that math, people may say the same thing about Nickelodeon. They may say most of the kids that were on there aren't saying anything and don't have a problem and came out all right. And we're playing the numbers game
but again, when you say train wreck, I guess that's what I'm thinking of, because I said that earlier. Like, a lot of these kids do have trauma. Don't get me wrong. A lot of them did deal with self-esteem issues, and again, I remember I was saying that they used to call the facts of life the fats of life, because they talk, they were like, it was always a conversation about their weight. And so when you talk to the girls from the facts of life, they talk about that. They talk about the trauma of the scrutiny that they used to be under and the comments that were made about them and their weight and stuff. I think it was even a sketch on Saturday Night Live about their weight back in the 80s, So I do think that there's trauma there, but I guess what I'm saying.
I mean, for me,
there's a big difference between Orlando Brown
for every
and
Family Matters,
Kim
you have
Fields.
Full House.
Maybe
I don't know what that means.
You know what?
I don't understand what that means.
The Full House kids are a mess. The Full House kids are a mess.
Maybe like
No, they're not.
Maybe
That's what I'm saying. But what about Cameron?
Candace Cameron is a damn mess. The Olsen kids are
she's not.
damn
She's
mess.
just a racist, but she's not a mess.
Conservative.
Wait,
And
can I
Jody,
say that
Jody Sweeney is okay.
A lot of us don't have brains. A lot of us do not have brains. As someone who went and lived this life, a lot of us do not have brains. I'm going to be very honest. I did not gain a brain until I went to college. Most of us did not go to college. And that's the one thing I think a lot of us haven't discussed in this panel yet, was the biggest violation to me. is the education factor and how much we went overtime in working. For example, the 3 hours. 3 hours really ain't a lot of time to learn stuff. With my school system, we went to school at 8 o'clock and we were out of school by 1 o'clock. 2 hours of that time was learning art or some type of trained medium. So 3 of the hours, you're trying to put all of these courses into those 3 hours. And for me, I didn't feel like I got anything when I went to school other than learning my trade. And you get in that environment, and a lot of the people who graduate or finish in these productions, they don't go to college. And a lot of times they don't have the mental capacity to have intellectual conversations with people.
Well, we learned how dumb they were when that couple of years that what's your girl's name that was on The View? What's her name?
Raven-Symoné.
Yeah, we learned. Yeah.
Don't do Raven now.
So
Raven shouldn't have done us.
Okay,
Raven never appeared until we never looked at Raven as intellectual. She never came off as being a smart child.
So I have a question, right? So
When what?
So I have a question. So when we are looking at this as a whole, right? So there is the group of children who were touched in whatever capacity, big or small, right? So it's that kind of group that was there. Then it's the group of kids that kind of get, drugs introduced to them at a very young age, and then they have that issue, right, that they kind of have forever, or that they battle with for very long stints of time, that, it's like, the drug thing that they kind of get. But then I also agree that there is a part of it where if I'm working on a set, I'm not getting, a traditional education. I'm getting a different form of education that's supposed to be some sort of schooling. And let's be clear, with the pandemic and virtual schooling and homeschooling, it's terrible now. So I can only imagine how bad it was back then. And then these kids, let's say, make it to 14, 15, 16, and then they get dropped from whatever show they're on. With what type of educational level? Where does that put them? If we think about it like that, like, really, how much are you really on par with your other, 14, 15-year-old classmates? Or are you really back, with like an 8-year-old, like, you know what I mean? Then you
that's
put
why
that
I say
on a child.
that's why I say they got to give us a part 2 to this, because there's so much to unpack. Let's not leave Disney unscathed, okay? Because they harped on Nickelodeon. Disney cannot get away unscathed on this.
Because it was about Nickelodeon.
Huh?
Because it was about Nickelodeon.
It was about
Dan Schneider worked at Nickelodeon.
I understand that, but that's not the title of this documentary. The title is Quiet on the Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV. Disney has to be involved in your conversation about the dark side of kids TV.
But Disney is not going to allow that shit. Disney.
It doesn't matter what Disney allows. If you have people that come forward, if you have people that come forward and say, I have a story to tell, and people that come forward and say they have a story to tell, they can tell their truth.
But the problem with a Disney conversation is, one, I think we have to look at what this documentary specifically did. They targeted people. They named people that were big names. Dan Schneider was known. We knew who Dan Schneider was. Can you tell me the name of the people who made That So Raven?
I didn't know that. No. Before this documentary, the only thing I knew about Dan Schneider is from Head of the Class. I remember him from Head of the Class. That's the only thing I knew about Dan Schneider.
No. Okay, maybe y'all didn't know, but they've been talking about Dan Schneider and his mess for the longest.
Because you got to remember, when a lot of these shows came, the only show that I could remember or relate to was All That. Once you start to get to some of them others, I wasn't watching Nickelodeon like that.
But here's the thing. But let me say this. But I didn't know who Dan Schneider was. So listen what I'm saying. My point is this, to piggyback on what El Teddy said. I remember hearing these stories, but I had no connection to it. So I still couldn't tell you who Dan. I remember hearing the stories about the guy at Nickelodeon who had the kids do the foot sketches. I remember hearing the stories, and this has really been over the last couple of years. But again, I didn't know I didn't know who Drake and Josh were. So it didn't connect to me like it connected to y'all. So because y'all grew up on those shows, when you heard these stories, it's the same thing with me. I can tell you 5,000 stories of documentary, and that's why when El Teddy said they need to make documentaries, they're out there. I could tell you 5,000 stories about different strokes and what's happening and all of these, because it connected, because I watched those shows growing up and I remember those. I'd be like, oh, dang, I remember that. Oh, yep, I remember that episode because I watched them. So when you guys are looking at this stuff or when you're seeing it on social media, there's a connection there for you. I didn't know who Dan Schneider was. And again, I couldn't even tell you that Dan Schneider was the guy from Head of the Class, even though I watched Head of the Class. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was the same guy.
You know, but I think it's also like in a different context, right? Because it's not necessarily the network, it's more of the producer. That's like saying, hey, do you know who Dick Wolf is? Most people are like, yeah, the Law and Order guy, right? Yep. So you'll be like, oh, you can connect that name of this big producer to a TV show. And that's what kind of Dan Schneider is for a specific generation. Because his name I agree. Was, you know, kind of plastered on the front.
Right, that's like Greer and Keith. Right, like El Teddy, that would be like Greer and Keith. We know Greer and Keith. We know that he was the director on all the black shows. Like we know Greer and Keith. So like if you telling me you're gonna make a documentary and if all sorts of stories start coming out about him, I'd be like, damn, for real? Because there's a connection to it. So I understand what you guys are saying. I get it that these stories have been out there, but y'all have a connection to Nickelodeon that I'm gonna speak for me, that I don't have. I don't have a connection to Nickelodeon.
Yeah, it's probably mostly those of us that were born in the late 80s and early 90s.
I can promise you, I can promise you that I have never, and I'm stressing never, I have never watched a Nickelodeon show. I can promise you I haven't. I know what the Kids' Choice Awards are, but I've never watched an episode. I've seen clips online of people getting slimed and stuff like that, but I have never sat down and watched no damn. Now, maybe if I'd had kids, I might have a different story. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, I grew up during the slime era, Double Dare, and all of those things.
I watched Double Dare, but when I watched Double Dare, it wasn't on Nickelodeon. It came on regular TV.
Oh, my era was switched between Nickelodeon and Disney Channel. So when I aged out of those, I started watching Nickelodeon because my niece then followed behind me.
You know why I didn't watch the Disney Channel? Because if you remember, the Disney Channel was premium. If you had basic cable, it did not come with the Disney Channel.
I had
Nickelodeon did.
All I had was Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon.
You had Nickelodeon,
right? And like, I remember when they rebooted. Right, and I remember when they rebooted the Mickey Mouse Club, like I remember, you know, hearing about it. But like you said, number one, I don't even know if we had the Disney Channel. And number two, I wasn't interested. Like when Britney Spears, when Oops, I Did It Again came out, I knew her as Britney Spears. It wasn't until later that I was like, you know, when they started doing interviews and stuff, that they were like, she was from the Disney Channel. I was like, what? And then NSYNC and all these other people, I didn't know them from Disney. But so again, wasn't my era.
I'm the Keenan and Kel. Me and Keenan, I'm the Keenan and the Kel era. That's my Lee Thompson Young. That's my era.
I knew who Keenan and Kel were, but I never watched. I never watched. I remember when the movie Good Burger came out. Like that was my first time really watching them for an extended period of time. But I knew who they were, but I never. Again, I just didn't watch it. Right when Lee Thompson, I knew him. I knew him from
the famous Jet Jackson.
Yeah, see, I didn't know him from that.
You didn't know him from the famous Jet Jackson?
No, I knew him from.
Jet Jackson was my show. You mean?
Wait, right? I didn't know him from that. I knew him from the detective. I knew him as a detective. Rizzoli and Isles. That's where I knew him from. I think
that's how I knew I was gay, because me and Lee Thompson Young was the same age, and I knew.
Let's be clear, you already knew you were gay. Let's be clear.
I didn't know in the beginning, ma'am. Tell me what I did.
This documentary kind of for me gave a hindsight of why Lee Thompson did what he did. And then too, here is my thing. I don't think that there'll be a Disney documentary like how it was with Nickelodeon, because Disney has its hands in too many networks.
Child, I'm sure there's a lot of NDAs out there too.
And then on top of that, if they do one on Disney, they're gonna be real sugar coated with it.
Yeah.
I mean, Viacom has attended many more networks, I would say, and more adult networks.
Y'all found a good connector for Disney though. Surviving Mickey Mouse Club.
You know, Mickey Mouse Club, a lot of them that came out of there are train wrecks.
They are.
But is that because of Mickey Mouse, or is that because of who they were around? Because Britney Spears, it wasn't trash because of Mickey Mouse. She was trash because who she was raised by.
No, I think that all play. I think all of that
all groomed them.
All plays into it. All of that plays into it.
I have a question. Besides Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake and JC Chazé, who else was on the Mickey Mouse Club?
Christina Aguilera.
Ryan
the
Gosling.
actor. Yeah, Brian Gosling. And wasn't it
It's
another
a bunch
actor?
of white people, Harold. It's a bunch of white people. There were no blacks.
The Carters.
There were no colors. It was very white only pies during that era.
It was.
Anyway,
That explains why I didn't speak.
We've been on here almost 2 hours, y'all. We about to get up out of here. I'm about to go see a man about a dog. But
I don't know if that's how that
Okay.
goes.
Is that a euphemism?
Okay.
Girl.
If that's what you want, how you want to sugarcoat it, okay. A dog. Okay.
Praise
You sure
God.
it's not a horse?
I'm gonna let everybody
Does the dog
talk.
Is the dog cut or
I'm gonna
uncut?
start at the bottom. Drinks with D. What you final thoughts?
Everybody
Drinks
needs
with D?
shit. Everybody
okay.
needs shit.
Gotcha.
And you know what? I'm with the damn kids. F all them damn parents. Bye.
I know that's right. I know that's right. D Johnson. Oh, I'm sorry. You still going? Drinks with D. Go ahead. Finish. You can finish. Okay. D Johnson, what you got?
All I gotta say is thank you for having me, but also watch out for all the black people in entertainment. They usually be the worst ones to work with.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
We need that documentary too. Gabby, what you got?
First of all, thank you for having me. I really love you. I've been watching
I love you too,
your
girl.
old episode. I've been watching your old members only lives and as far as the documentary, just throw the whole network away. Throw it away. Throw it away.
Okay.
Y'all done ruined my childhood too. I'm
Because they only showing
traumatized, but
iCarly
throw it
reruns
away.
anyway.
All right, Harold. She loves you really be. I mean, I'm just chopped liver here. I mean, just see what I'm saying.
Oh
I
God.
love
I'm
you.
sorry,
You know,
Elton. Y'all
you
gotta
know
get
he's
to know
sensitive,
you.
child.
I'm
Please
real
tell that man
sensitive.
how
I'm
you feel.
I'm
real
sorry.
sensitive.
I gotta watch your old videos to try to get to know you or something.
Brace
Or
yourself. Just brace
you
yourself.
know.
It's make sure you have seatbelts and stuff. Please fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Harold, Harold, what you got?
I just wanted to say that I thoroughly enjoyed this documentary because, like Really B said, it was a reminder of my childhood, but I'm not sure how much nostalgia I feel now because it's been tainted. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this interview, and it was very eye-opening and disturbing at the same time to know that so many predators were around these kids, and everyone pretty much glossed over it. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes from this. I fully believe that it's only the tip of the iceberg. As you see, Dan Schneider spoke out yesterday, so there's going to be a lot of damage control. And did I freeze up?
No, you're fine.
Okay. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of damage control and a lot of trying to clean up the ones that have been exposed. So yeah, we'll see what comes from this, and yeah, I'm looking forward to. I don't know if we're gonna get it, but I'm looking forward to the Disney documentary.
Child, Fran J said if there's a surviving PBS, she ain't gonna make it at it. She ain't gonna make it.
Not surviving PBS though.
Was he already surviving PBS? The man from Elmo.
Oh dear God! Don't do this. Now
that's
if
all I
there's
have
a
to say.
surviving
But didn't that
Mr.
come back
Rogers,
to not
no.
be true? The stuff about Elmo, didn't that come back that it wasn't
No,
true?
that was true.
That was.
If y'all give me a surviving Mr. Rogers, I promise you, I'm gonna lose my damn mind. I'm just gonna give up on everything because I love to be some Mr. Rogers, and I fights about Mr. Rogers. I'm just telling you that now.
It's a wonderful day in the.
I just want to say, screw that non-driving ass heifer. I don't understand it. Get you a license. Get you something.
Why is he so mad about the driver?
I just don't understand.
Don't let this get a license, bitch.
Right.
The line of the night is get a license, bitch.
Not get a license, honey.
Golly, he is mad.
But on a serious note, I am going to refute against the whole throw the network away. Because I truly believe that during this time, we need children-appropriate television shows. I feel like we are at an era where children are watching what the adults are watching, and that's the problem with this country right now. Children are too busy doing. There is no reason that a 5-year-old and a 16-year-old should share the same favorite show. I think that's not not good.
Child, I be watching Zeus. Mm-hmm.
Tracy, what you got, my love?
What I took away from this is watch your kids at all times when they're around some pervy adults or any adults really that ain't you, because you never know what someone else got going on in their mind. So, keep a vigilant watch on your children, when they're around people that you may not know that well or sometimes know that well. Is probably my first point and key takeaway. Secondly, and probably most importantly, that mama could eat dirt and die. I hope the heifer push up Daisy.
Eat dirt, die,
she
trash.
is no good.
Girl.
She ain't shit. She ain't shit. She ain't never gonna be shit. And I promise you, if I see her outside, we fighting because absolutely not, ma'am. Absolutely not. That your ex-husband told you that there was something wrong with that man, and if you didn't have the discernment, what? If you didn't have the discernment to look out for your child the way that your ex-husband was looking out for your child, you don't deserve to be a mama. Did somebody castrate her? Because she don't deserve to have more kids.
Castrate?
Not castrate. You mean sterilize?
Go off.
No, you can castrate a woman. They do it in Africa all the time.
Oh, Lord.
Listen, I'm just simply saying she don't deserve to be here. But that's neither here nor there. Second, and probably most importantly, anybody who is touching a child in any way that is inappropriate, y'all deserve to hit that 7th layer of hell right with the mama. Because I promise you, nothing good is gonna come to y'all. Y'all dead wrong for violating them babies.
Okay. Okay. That my ladies and gentlemen is Tracy. I don't even have my banner up the whole time.
Right. She doesn't.
I have nothing up. Oh well.
She went on.
Darren, what you got, bruh?
Watching this because I binge watched it yesterday. It was very I was shocked because I did watch these shows. I know Really B and I know El Teddy, y'all talked about how y'all didn't really know these shows, but I watch all of these shows.
Yes.
And the fact that this was going on, I was talking about it with my best friend, like, yo, we really used to want to be in that space because I used to want to be an actor. And I was like, just thinking like, oh my goodness, these people had the time of their lives. And to hear that this is what happened behind the scenes, it puts a stain on Nickelodeon, but I also piggyback on what Xavier said. I think television networks should still be around. Nickelodeon should still be around because they do make good content, and there isn't that much craziness going on in the animation side. The freaking live action TV show side, girl, I don't know. Y'all need to fix that. But I think they're good now. They got rid of Dan, so I think hopefully things are going good there. But girl, yeah, it's a mess.
Really B, what you got, my love?
I mean, I don't really have nothing. I don't think. Fuck all them hoes. I don't know.
Get a license, bitch.
Right, like I'm still stuck on the fact that we mad she ain't got no license. I'm stuck.
Well, I want to say this. First of all, thank everybody that came up on the panel. Y'all were great. Really B, Darren, Tracy, Xavier, Harold, Gabby, Drinks with D Johnson, everybody who came up. Thank y'all so much. What I want to say to you all who watch these shows, I hate it. I think about when the Bill Cosby stuff came out and they wanted me to stop watching the Cosby Show. And I think about, I hate when something becomes tainted, when maybe that one thing that entity wasn't tainted, but that individual was. So I to a certain degree, should the man be locked up? Absolutely. But do I want to not enjoy the artistry, the art? That's something that I struggle with myself.
Watch it. Those kids need money. They get residuals.
Yeah, you're right. So I still watch the Cosby Show and things like that. And so because it, waxes nostalgic to my childhood. I know, hell, me and Keisha Knight Pulliam are the same age. So as she grew up, I grew up, so I identified with that whole thing. And I would say to you all, just I sometimes you have to separate the person from the entity and understand that the person may be vile and horrible, but the entity itself you can appreciate. So yeah, that's all I got. But it was great discussing this. Y'all helped me unpack a lot of this, and I'm so glad y'all helped me walk me through this. Thank you so much. Thank you to the chat, because that's where the real show is. The real show is over in the chat, where they be cutting up and carrying on. I'm just the side
Can I
show.
just say one thing? Can I just say one thing? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I just want to say shout out to El Teddy and Willoughby. Willoughby just left, and Darren Green as well. All three of y'all, shout out to y'all, because y'all helped me through the darkest times through my life and everything, and y'all encouraged me to get up here and talk as well. So I just want to say that as well. So
you're not alone, because I'm not a doctor either.
All three of y'all.
Well, thank you so much. We definitely appreciate that. We definitely, it's a labor of love. We definitely always want to come on. I will be in town this weekend programming notes. So Silly Saturday is on for this weekend. Be prepared. My pupils, be prepared. Silly Saturday will be this weekend. It may be a little earlier than normal, but it will be.
Period.
I think that's all I got. Until as I always say, I love y'all. I love all y'all. Thank you all for being vocal, present, and active. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for any and all contributions that you make to the channel. They are much obliged. They're much appreciated. Excuse me. We'll be live tomorrow to do something. Probably just get on and shoot the shit tomorrow afternoon, and then we'll have Silly Saturday on Saturday. That's all I got for y'all. Until next time. Thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely. We out here.